Okay, you guys, I got another beginner question. This one came from my mom. She's the person who got me into bodybuilding. My grandfather is a bodybuilder. My mom's brother, my uncle, he was a bodybuilder. My mom never competed, but she looks like a bodybuilder. Like she's got crazy muscles, man. Wicked awesome. Like her legs look like mine. She's just like 5 foot tall. Filipino lady, absolutely yacked up to the gills. My mom was asking, because I wrote her a leg workout, how long should she do it before switching? So, kind of getting into the concept of how much variation do you need with training? Now, I always come at this with a two-sided approach. I'm like this with everything. I kind of like to play devil's advocate for people. So, when you're talking about exercise variation for muscle growth and progress in the gym, there's two things you need to make sure you're doing. You need to be consistent so that you have something to measure your progress with. If you don't have something to measure your progress against in terms of effort in the gym, it's hard to figure out if you're consistently getting better. And if you don't know you're getting better, it's fair to assume that nothing's really going on. And then also, the second component, the psychological component that makes you like to train is, do you enjoy this training? First of all, if you don't enjoy whatever you're doing in the gym, you're not going to stick with it consistently. And we all know that if you're not doing something consistently and getting better at it consistently, you're not going to get better. You might make some small improvements at first, but long term, it's very hard to measure whether you're improving or not. So we need to find a balance between variation and consistency. How can we do that? And here's what I displayed for my mother. I do a push-pull leg split, right? I train chest, shoulders, triceps. That's my push. I do pull, which is back, rear delts, and biceps, all the pulling muscles, and then legs, which we all know, hamstrings, quads, calves, and glutes. We can figure out a format that works for each of these muscle groups in terms of exercise selection. So if we're going for the chest and shoulders, look at my chest and shoulder days. You guys can see them. I always do some sort of overhead press because I want to develop my front delts. And I always notice people who are good at overhead press have a lot thicker upper chest shelf. And then I do an incline press, which is very similar to that. And then I always do flies. And I always do lateral raises. And then I do some tricep extensions and push downs, right? That's like my 5 exercise selection for pushing. Now, how can we vary that so it's not boring? So we have that consistent skeleton that we can use to make sure we choose good exercises. How can we vary it? We can do different versions of an overhead press to make sure we're always doing overhead press. And then we can rotate the exercises we're doing to make sure that we have some variation. I don't suggest doing more than 3 exercise variations for one single muscle group. Because then if you're switching them out every single session, you're starting to get to a point where you're not doing something consistently. And once again, it's hard to measure if you're consistently getting better. So an example for shoulders, overhead press. We could do overhead press on a Smith machine. We could do overhead press on a cable type machine, like one of the ones where you stick the pin in the stack or you load the weight on the sides, like a hammer strength. And then you have 2 free weight overhead presses, either dumbbell or barbell. Those are 4 shoulder exercises that are all the same in terms of the pattern for the movement, pressing overhead. And you guys have seen in my videos, I do a seated overhead press with a barbell and I do a standing overhead press with a barbell. I really like the barbell overhead press. It's my favorite. That's why I do it all the time, because I really enjoy it. I look forward to doing it every week. And, they're so similar that really they just benefit each other. And so I improve at both. And that's what I'm getting at. You need to choose exercises that benefit the same muscle, that are somewhat similar, but different enough to where you don't get bored. If you can do the same thing every day, you're going to be the good bodybuilder. The more you can enjoy and consistently eat the same food and do the same training and have the same routine, you have the best skill set required to be a fantastic bodybuilder or athlete in general. Now we get to the other side of things where CrossFit, they don't do the same exercise all the time, yet they're jacked up. What is it that's consistent then? They are consistently writing down their workouts and improving at them, and they're consistently giving every ounce of effort they possibly can. So you can make progress with variation to a high degree, just like CrossFit does. But you have to be capable and willing and enjoy going balls to the wall 100% of the time. And that's the difference. If you want to do the same workout all the time, You don't have to go 110%. All you have to do is do better than last time, and you'll start just stacking momentum until some point you're squatting 500 pounds, but 5 years ago you were only squatting 225. That basic improvement on the same exercise over a long period of time is going to make your legs huge and all the other muscles involved with the lift. Now, if you're on the other end of the spectrum and you're a CrossFitter, they have consistent workouts, but they change a lot. But what they do is they logbook how well they did. For a Murph example, there's a exercise WOD called a Murph. CrossFitters have a set amount of time that they try to get it done in, and then they come back next time and try to do that same workout and do better at it. So even though they have like 12 different workouts for the same, every single day of the week, they consistently, repeatedly do those workouts and try to give a higher level of effort than last time, which drives progress. So consistency and effort are what matter the most to get the most out of your training, but we do need to find a balance between variation and consistency. So the point is, choose these exercises that fit the format so that you have variation, do them in the same order, and improve at them. And then when you get tired of them, change the order, change the weights, change the reps, and get better at that for a while. What you need to be able to do to really develop muscle is consistently do the same thing for a period of time that actually allows you to improve. It should take you about 3 weeks to get used to an exercise. And then from there, you can do that exercise until you get bored or until you still hit a plateau. Like I said, you guys really just need to learn to balance variation and consistency while maintaining effort. And that beautiful combination is what you need to get better, to build muscle when you're training.